let's get this show on the road here. This is a seeker, the way I make them anyway. I'm going to start with some craft fur. This is extra select craft fur. It has a longer fiber than what you can get out of the craft store fibers. It's just an all-around better product. It also, if you take this stuff, you look closely here, you can see how the grain is going this way. I'm going to take this and just kind of tease it off from the backing a little bit. Take my scissors and I'm going to cut this about 5/16 to 3/8 of an inch wide. And I'm not going to take my scissors too deep. That way I don't cut too much hair off the other side. And once I've got that strip cut like this, then I can prepare it, and it's pretty simple. I just fold both edges together here and pull, and that creates a really nice long chenille that's easy for me to work with. Now there's going to be a few loose hairs here, and if I just stroke my hand down there, I'll pull off that loose stuff and get rid of it. So there, that's how I prepare my material. So here's a strip I already cut of the orange, just like that. It's ready to go. Here's a chartreuse, same thing, and it's all set. So it makes it easy for me to prepare my material and to get it ready for putting on the hook. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a weed guard on my hook. These are my red wire weed guards. Come down about 40 wraps of thread. This is flat wax nylon, although you can use 6/0 uni or 140 denier. They're all about the same. All depends on which one you like the best or what I'm doing on that particular day, which one I pick up. So I'll wrap my thread back up about halfway to the hook eye, bring my weed guard back over and tack it down again. If I just tied it in straight, fish is going to take it off almost on the first hit. And since I like to make my flies very durable, I want this to last a long time. So tie it down like that. And this is 49 strand wire, nylon coated stainless steel leader wire. So it can bend back and forth a lot of times without. And then I'll just run my thread down to my tie-in point. And on this particular hook with a perfect bend like this, the tie-in point is going to be at the barb. So I'll just keep my weed guard back here out of my way, and I can bend it into place when I'm ready. So I've chosen 6 saddle hackles, an olive, a chartreuse, and an orange. I'm going to place them together so that they're all going the same direction. Everything looks pretty good, all about the same length. And then right about where the quills start to get fat, I'll just peel that off a little bit. Make sure I've got all my quills lined up the way I want. Now if I got some really thick quills like this, sometimes I'll go back over the top of the hook shank in that last 1/4 of an inch or so a couple of times with the thread to build that diameter up a little bit. And of course this is going to depend on what brand of hook you use. Some may be larger diameter than others. I like this small diameter hook because it penetrates really well and they're super sharp, and I don't have problems with them. So once I've built that diameter of the hook shank up a little bit, then I'll trim off my quills. That's not going to lay down very well. So I'll come up, I'll grab my flat-jawed pliers. I'll squeeze those down a little bit, crush them. There we go. Now they'll lay down real nice. So the pliers don't have any serrations on them or anything. It's just a flat jaw. And they really work well for crushing down quills, or maybe I've got to flatten the thread out a little bit here or there. They're a really great tool to have. They're inexpensive. You ought to have a pair. Now I add some flash, and I'm going to keep this a little bit more on the subtle side. So I've got a little bit of olive here. This is the accent flash from Hedron, which I really like because it's soft. I'll put about 8 or 10 strands of that on this side. I'll do the same thing with about maybe 6 or 8 strands of the orange. Get those so they're staggered a little bit. Do the same thing on the other side. My emphasis has always been on choose the colors that are correct for your part of the world, because that may be different than the stuff that I'm making here. It's the technique that's more important to me, to show you the technique rather than telling you exactly what color of this or that you should be using. That depends on your preferences and on the water that you fish. Now I can start. I'll start with the Chartreuse. I'll just peel that back from the backing a little bit so that it's going away from me. Tie that right up in there. And I'll take my thread forward a little. Tease my material out. Now that first bit tends to want to get stuck around the hook, so I usually just take a bodkin and peel it back a little bit. You could cut it off the backing and put it on one clump at a time. That's rather time consuming. This goes a lot faster. So usually I'll take 4 wraps on for the first chunk. This is a poly bristle brush. I don't want to use a real heavy bristle because this is real soft material. So I can come in with my poly brush and I can brush that material back, and everything's looking real good that way. The next color, my orange. Got to be careful. I don't like to cover up that hook too much, so I'll come in and I'll just trim that off a little bit. There we have a seeker, and this one's about 5 inches long, depending on the length of the saddles that you put on. Kind of depends on how long you want to make it. This I'll finish this up completely with the eyes also. There's some 10mm eyes, so they'll be just about the right size. I'm going to take my E6000 This is great stuff if you use it right. So I'm going to dig right into the center, and I'll start pushing that in until it bulbs out in the front end here. Grab my eye with my bodkin, put it right on there where I want it. And you notice I didn't push it in there real hard. I just kind of stuck it on there. We're going to do the same thing on this side. I'll look straight down on the fly so that I get in the right spot, and I'm going to fill up that head with the cement. And if you can get that cement so that it goes to both sides, then your eyes aren't going to fall off, and your head will stay nice and wide also. There we have it. Down and dirty, fast and simple. It's a great fly. It's real durable. It swims beautifully. And if you build it right, you can make it so that it does a really good job of walking the dog, even in a single, just like this. All I got to do is hit the head with the UV, and I'm ready to fish.